Hello there, and welcome back to the Star Wars Youniverse podcast. I am your host, James, and we are talking about Vortex from the Fate of the Jedi series in Legends. And joining me, as always, as we talk Fate of the Jedi, is good friend Todd Sedlacek. Hi, Todd. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully, James. How are you?
I am good. I am so glad we are finally talking Vortex because I have been itching to get.
I know.
I've been itching to get into Conviction, which is the next book, which we have just had a little conversation about before we started this recording of me going, what's the next one?
Yeah.
So we have already talked about this book, but we were running very long. I was getting very confused about what had happened in the last three books that we were covering, or the middle three books of this series. And we decided to sort of try and rush through it. And it didn't, when I was editing it, I wasn't happy, basically.
No.
It needed to be given the time it needed. And so we meant it to only be a couple of weeks. It's been several months. But we are here. We are ready to talk about it. And as always, first off, what are your initial thoughts of the book? Where would you put it in terms of a grade? Where would you put it in the series so far in terms of importance, enjoyability, all of that sort of good stuff?
I like the book. I mean, this whole entire series, I know I'm starting to sound a bit like a broken record that I like the overall series, but this book in particular, I liked. Of the six that we've read so far, I would probably rank it towards the middle of the pack. But that's not saying anything negative about the book. I enjoyed the book, and this whole series, it's a nine novel series, and it's broken up into three trilogies, obviously, and much like the Skywalker saga itself, it's definitely first act, second act, and then when we get on to books 7, 8, and 9, that'll be the third and final act. And as far as how this book sets everything up for that third act, it does it quite well. So I would probably have to give this an A minus, maybe B plus. You know, it's right kind of on that border in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I would probably say it's a firm A minus for me. I thought it felt like the densest book so far.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And everything moves quite substantially forward in this. And it feels like I like the way you described it as there 3 trilogies in the 9 books of this series, because this very much felt like they are cramming a finale into this book, but also the jumping off point for the next.
Right. And as we get deeper into it, not to put the cart before the horse here, but as we get deeper into it, it'll be obvious what they're setting up as far as the next 3 books, and by they I mean the Jedi in particular. And it has some connection to the prequel trilogy, Revenge of the Sith specifically.
I wonder what part you could be referring to.
So it'll be interesting to go on this journey with you because, as listeners already know, I've read this series a few times over, and just like you've been itching these last few months to get on with this book, I've been itching as well, because I know where this is going. I know exactly where this is going, and the way this all resolves itself is just so cool in my mind. And I really don't want to say any more than that, because it'll completely spoil it. But they just know that as we go through these this book and then the next three, it's gonna be a cool ride.
Yeah, and you can feel it with what's happening in this book. And I know previously I couldn't quite remember where I put this series down. I know I am definitely in uncharted territory here in terms of my knowledge set. I know of Abeloth, and I know a bit of her story. I don't know where it fits in. I don't know if that's all. My knowledge set has already now all happened. I don't know how it concludes, and because it has to conclude, because they were planning other books after this, before the Disney acquisition, and so I'm really excited about the next three books on this series, and I don't know how I'm going to feel at the end of it, because I know that there isn't the continuation. I think they were planning on a specific character having their own trilogy. And I don't want to say that character. I always say this and then I end up saying the character. So I might just cut the middle bit out here and just say Jaina. I know they were planning a Sword of the Jedi. Either trilogy or series. And so I know she comes out of it. But that doesn't take away anything at this point in time, because to be perfectly honest, I'm not really seeing anything at the moment that's being set up that is really going to put Jaina in danger. She seems to be more the detective at this point in time, and the one who's ready to whip out a lightsaber and run into battle for those she loves. Utilizing a opportune segue there, if we jump into sort of the tail of the tape for the book, we're gonna do this one slightly differently as we've done in the past, where we're going to focus on specific arcs through, and I've kind of cut this book into, it's kind of two arcs, but there's, in the first one, there's sort of sub arcs. So it's kind of the Jedi Order and Coruscant, what's happening there. And then there's Luke and Ben. We'll start with where we need to start, which is Jaina and Lando. We'll touch on Tahiri, as she is quite a key part of all of this, and I think she's got a big role to play in the future. And I'm really looking forward to how that sets up. But we start with Jaina being the segue, and Lando traveling back to Coruscant after their meeting with Luke and Ben before they head off into the Maw, and they're intercepted near Kessel by a group of ships who they think are pirates in the first instance, but quickly discover that it's more than it seems, with Jaina going out in her Stealth X and not going quite to plan, and she realizes that the pirates, in air quotes, are Force users and are using their knowledge of the Force, and when she is using the Force to intercept her bombs and locate her, even though she is stealthed.
Yeah, every time she grabs the shadow bombs in the Force, they're able to target her when they shouldn't be, because she's in a stealth fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is something that doesn't really get highlighted that much in the new canon, that if someone is using the Force, you can find them because through the ripples of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they'd bring it back, if I'm perfectly honest, because I always thought it was a really cool way, and it then led to the development of shrinking your presence in the Force.
Mm-hmm.
and hiding yourself, not just in a Stealth X, but also in the Force as well. So I hope they bring it back. We have this interaction, and Jaina kind of deduces that this is probably the Lost Tribe of the Sith, and they escape, and they make their way back to Coruscant, and it troubles Jaina. So Jaina and Lando obviously traveling back to Coruscant. While that's happening, we've got Chief of State Darla is continuing her Mandalorian siege on the Jedi Temple, which does lead to some cool battles. Like Jedi versus Mandalorian is always going to be a winner for me, because you've got a fighting species who pride themselves on being able to fight Jedi against
and
Jedi.
Defeat them.
and defeat
let's
them.
Not,
exactly.
Let's not forget that. And defeat them.
Absolutely. And this is to get the latest couple of crazy Jedi handed over to the GA. They're brought out, aren't they? And they are no longer insane,
right? Because Luke, at the end of the last book, Luke and the Sith defeat Abeloth.
Yes.
And it was that defeat that kind of released her mental hold on all of the insane Jedi. So what happens is I think it's Saltus Sar and Turi Ultimate. I forget I'm probably butchering those two names.
Yeah, we'll say Sar and Turi.
Sar and Turi. Okay, there we go. Sar and Turi. They bring them out and basically bring them out onto the steps of the Jedi Temple. Chief of State Dala is there. Of course, Galactic Alliance security is there. And Han Solo is there, basically orchestrating this whole public display that ends up not going the way Dala had hoped. And there is some quintessential Han Solo in this whole sequence that I am absolutely here for.
Absolutely.
If this is the way Han Solo could have been written in the sequel trilogy, it would it would have been so much better depiction of that original trilogy character. But I don't want to get into a whole diatribe on how I feel Lucasfilm and Disney basically treated the big three, so to speak, in the sequel trilogy.
I feel like you and I have quite similar views on this.
Yeah.
But potentially very different pathways to get there. So I would be very interested in not having it now, but maybe tabling that conversation for another day. I would be very interested to dive into that a little bit more.
I have thoughts.
I know you do. And I would be very, very interested to hear them. And it's because we are friends at this point in time. I know that it's not going to descend into a shouting match or you're just wrong or anything like that. It's going to be a conversation. And I want to have that conversation. Absolutely.
There's the right opinion about this, James, and there's your opinion. I mean, there's no reason for it.
And never the twain shall meet. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There is some peak Han Solo in this exchange. And actually the way this physician tests to see if these Jedi is still insane is incredible. And all he does...
So basic.
It's so basic. It's so basic, but so effective. He walks up and just knees one of them in the groin.
Yeah.
As hard as he can. And I think it's the other one, isn't it? It's Sar who reacts and just lifts him up using the Force to prevent any further attack.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This was it Tar I said just crumples.
And
is just writhing on the steps of the Jedi Temple in absolute agony.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't react in a aggressive manner,
right?
He's just like, why have you done that? He's like, well,
I wanted to prove you weren't crazy anymore.
He's not insane anymore.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah, you might need a bag of peas for that, but you've got a clean bill of health otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
So the upshot of this confrontation is Darla kind of storms off in a bit of a huff because it hasn't gone how she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that just because these two are no longer insane, they're free to stay in the Jedi Temple, but she is still going to keep Valin and Gisela Horn in Carbonite and in the custody of the GA because she doesn't know that the ones that they've trapped in Carbonite, if whatever spell that has been broken has affected those still in Carbonite, so she's not willing to take that risk.
Right.
Which, from a practical point of view, I can understand. But when the Jedi are also offering, like, look, one at a time, bring them in. We will be able to contain them if they are still affected by this. So it's that typical thing of trying to retain power when you have been proven to be powerless in a situation.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and it's typical GA head of state playing politics.
I'd go even a step further than that. I'd say it's typical Dala, because I mean, you just think of all the way back to, and I just recently read it. If you think all the way back to the Jedi Academy trilogy, where she really first comes back into the galaxy writ large because she's been stuck in the Maw installation for all those years, guarding, tasked by Tarkin to guard all the super weapon projects. Her actions in that book really show her to be like a bully, really. And it doesn't, knowing that about her gives me two things. One, I'm still not sure why Luke at the end of the Legacy of the Force series said, okay, let's have Dala be the chief of state. Just knowing all of the things she did back then, but also it shows where she's going, and even that whole attitude plays out in the events of this book in particular.
Yeah, I think there is a reason given in Legacy of the Force, isn't there? But it's kind of Luke trying to ensure that the Jedi also have those checks and balances.
Yeah, I suppose.
And he obviously knows who Darla is. And I think he thought he could manage that situation without necessarily expecting the political nuances that she would employ to remove him specifically, and then go about her own agenda for the Jedi Order, which is, let's face it, extinction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She doesn't want them around.
No. And it just shows that, and I will grant that he was, in the timeline, he was like 18, 19 during the events of A New Hope. So he, obviously being on a backwater planet like Tatooine wouldn't be really privy to all of the things that went on. But for me, and maybe that's just because as a reader, as a viewer, we know a lot more than the characters that go on. But as soon as he heard or found out that she was a protege of Grand Moff Tarkin, that should have been red flag number one as to whether or not it would have been a good idea, no matter what his reasoning was at the time, that it would not have been a good idea that appointing her as head of state, and that would end up anywhere but where the events of these books are leading us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because as you were saying that, I was sort of scanning through the timeline of A New Hope, and Luke never actually encounters Tarkin. They're at odds with each other through the very nature of the premise of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But Luke is also well known to have returned to Coruscant after Endor, or in the period of time after Endor, and go through as much information as he can find at the Imperial Palace, which is obviously the former Jedi Temple on Coruscant. He must have known who Tarkin was.
Yeah, had to have.
I think that's a little bit of arrogance on Luke's part, of thinking either arrogance of himself or arrogance of the Jedi Order being so separate from the political machinations of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of falling into the same trap a little bit in that regard as the Jedi Order before Order 66. Mm-hmm. They are constantly dragged into political affairs. They are integral to the political runnings of the galaxy, and therefore they are servants to the Republic, the New Republic, and if the Emperor had deemed fit, they would have been slaves to the Empire.
Right.
And they were, as per the new canon, via the Inquisitors.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely an element of arrogance there. I'm just not sure if it's personal to Luke or of the Jedi Order.
Well, and also you can't really, looking at it from another perspective, Luke Skywalker in these books, in the expanded universe, and now with the Legends label, in this kind of canon, may have a bit of a basis for feeling that he could have controlled the situation because of the fact that he essentially rebuilt the Jedi Order from nothing.
Yeah. From him.
Nothing, had no help, and was basically just feeling his way around. And I talked about the Jedi Academy trilogy before, and if people listening, if you're reading along and you like these books, you should, I would say that for the world that was set up in the Legacy of the Force and the Fate of the Jedi, and even before that, the new Jedi Order, the kind of the linchpin for where the Jedi started out. The Jedi in this era started out, go back to that Jedi Academy trilogy, because it even shows how Luke tested potential Jedi candidates, and it wasn't testing their blood for midichlorians, because essentially that the Emperor and the Inquisitors and everything destroyed all of that knowledge. You know, people didn't know. Luke didn't know how to test for Jedi potential. He kind of happened across it by accident. So that trilogy of books is a really, if anybody listening wants to, go back to the Jedi Academy trilogy, because it shows how everything started, that to rebuild the Jedi Order into the form that it is today. And you know, Dala is involved in that in that series in no small part. So
I must admit, I do always find it interesting when you cover or consume a series, and it scratches that itch of like, where's this come from? And it's one of my first experiences of what is now Legends, and just Star Wars EU at the time was Heir to the Empire. And I think that meshed and stitched itself in so well into what we knew from the films, because that's all we really had to go off back then. And then it's just cannoned itself forward into all of this, really culminating in this series. And you've had people sort of jumping back and forth in the timeline, adding stuff, which you get in the new canon. But it's so interesting when you see, like, Dala, as you say, using Dala as the example. Coming up here, she's the head of state for the New Republic, or the Galactic Alliance. And she has such a role in that trilogy, and you're just like, oh, it's so good how you can just sort of bounce around them and just follow people, and you can just get their story. And it's like, you'd probably read and sort of glance over her name to a degree, but then if you're reading it coming from Fate of the Jedi, you're like, I know where she goes. She's important. And I love that dual perspective of stuff, of when you, depending on how you read it. And there are things that I think you should read. So like going into Fate of the Jedi, you have to have probably at least be aware of the events of Legacy of the Force. Because in reality, it's an 18-book series.
Yeah.
So,
and there's in this book, in Vortex, there's definite references to actions that Darth Caedus, Jason Solo, took in that book with the aim to change the flow of the Force.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
has essentially changed destiny. So
yeah,
I won't say too much more about it, because we specifically talk about it later in the book. So
yeah, no, absolutely. So getting back to the book, we've gone off on a massive tangent there, but all completely relevant.
Yeah.
The Jedi High Council are discussing how they can get the horns back. And Grandmaster Hamner is very, very insistent that they have to use non-violent action. So you can see the Jedi Council ramping up here of like, no, she's not. This is pointless. She's only going to understand action. Let's go and take back our Jedi. To the point where Hamner has to reveal that he's made a deal with someone, but he won't say who, saying that they won't use violence to reach their goals.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all on the background of obviously the Mandalorians under Dala's command doing what they did on Blaudu Sextus.
Yeah.
Which reading and reviewing these books at the moment is sometimes a bit difficult because there are comparisons that could be made, and
in modern day events,
in the modern day world,
for sure,
which I have to keep pushing them like no.
Well, I mean, if it was think about when in Earth time when these books came out. I mean, it was a time of upheaval, and
in a certain part of the world.
Yeah. I'm sure that that was drawn upon
absolutely
by the author or
absolutely.
authors.
Absolutely.
And the events on Blaudu Sextus are just, it's a typical reaction of a leader that is losing their grip on their power base to where they see, oh, here's this event happening in, for us, another country, but for Dala, another planet across the galaxy. Here's something that I think that I can easily deal with and reassert my power and show the Jedi that they should not be messing around with me without having to attack the Jedi themselves.
Yeah, it's absolutely a show of strength and just look what I can do and look what I can actually get away with, kind of thing. And there is some concern within the Jedi about that. I think they do see through it. And they're trying to figure out how to combat this and without using force. And it's actually Corran Horn who says, look, we can't go in all guns blazing, lightsabers drawn, and force regime
that's what she
change.
wants us to do.
Yeah, we will be playing into our hands. And it's not the time for that to happen. And that really is the only thing that settles them down for the time being. Because it's Corran's children that are being held. Let's not forget that part of it. It's and if he's saying, look, no, we have to go about this a certain way. We are not there yet, but if we do get there, I'll be front of the queue.
Yeah,
don't worry about that.
And he makes it quite obvious that his patience is running very, very, very thin.
Yeah,
with the tactics that Hamner is using, he essentially is the Neville Chamberlain of the Jedi Order.
Yes, and I'm very happy to go back into history to pluck examples. Especially as a Brit.
Those of you listening that aren't students of history, Neville Chamberlain was the British PM that was in charge during the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany and Adolf Hitler's rise to power. And he took a position of appeasement, I think, is the best way to
I think that's
to put it.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to put it. And I will say he was actually the prime minister who actually declared war, but
he was put in a position where he couldn't avoid it.
It was kind of third or fourth chance. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, they did it. Oh, don't do it. And they kind of got left no choice. And he was very swiftly replaced by Winston Churchill, who history will forever remember for his actions. Not a particularly nice man, but the right man for the job at the time. So
I think in The Crown there was and I don't know if this is an actual quote, is when John Lithgow was playing, who, by the way, did a killer job playing Winston Churchill in The Crown.
John Lithgow is a character, is an actor who is so instantaneously recognizable. And he did such a good job, I couldn't figure out who he was for about 3 episodes. And it bugged the hell out of me.
And he said something to a new assistant that he had, is like, they say I'm a monster. Well, you need to be a monster to defeat Hitler.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if that's an exact quote, but it stands true. Sometimes you need to fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of the thing that a certain faction of the Jedi Council kind of led informally by Saba.
Yeah.
Which a lot of that, her standpoint probably has to do with how the Barabel species in general deals with conflict, but
yes,
she's definitely in that fight fire with fire position, and Hamner isn't, and it causes a lot of discord within the Jedi Council that ends up resolving itself, but not great for some people. But
it's a resolution.
Yes.
But yes, it's at this point in the story that Jaina and Lando return back to Coruscant, report back their findings about the Lost Tribe of the Sith encounter, and they are speculating that the Lost Tribe have spread throughout the galaxy. It comes out through political channels that the deal that was made was with Nek Boatu, who is an admiral, and it was made during the Mandalorian siege on the Jedi Temple. So secret conversations were being had whilst Jaina was desperately fighting for her life along with Jedi Padawans. Not the best look. And the terms of the deal were Hamner makes sure that the Jedi don't launch their Stealth X to help Luke. And then if that were to happen, then Boatu would get Darla to loosen the noose on the Jedi Order and stop pushing them so hard. Which, on the face of it, is not an acceptable deal. And Hamner should never have made that.
No.
Luke is reporting that the Sith are back and in huge numbers. And they have to go and help. That it's their mythical enemy have returned yet again to the galaxy. The leader of the Jedi have grounded their fleet to stop getting a bit of pressure on them by politicians.
He basically made a deal with for political expediency that put the future of the entire galaxy and all of the trillions upon trillions of beings within it in jeopardy. It shows that he was thinking more like a military commander, which is his background.
It is.
He was thinking more like a military commander versus a Jedi Grand Master. And it was that one deal. Once it comes to light, it was that one deal that just kind of shows why he might not have been the best choice, but he was really the only choice. Because if, for example, let's say if Luke had said, okay, Saba, you should lead us, they would have attacked and gone to war too soon.
Because that's her nature.
That's her nature. So I guess, I'm kind of talking myself back into Luke was put in a really bad position, damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation in appointing Hamner. And what he did was wrong, but if it hadn't have been him, it all potentially really could have fallen apart if they had launched too soon. So what he did was good. Where he went wrong is he made the decision on his own.
Yeah.
He did not involve the rest of the masters.
Yeah, and that's the key, really, for the other members of the Jedi Council, as well as
because I think
us as the reader. He's acting in isolation.
I think it's even said that it's not so much the deal that he made; it's that he did it on his own without the council of people whose lives that he's responsible for, to give them the chance of saying, hey, maybe this isn't the best idea. But by doing that, he robbed them of the chance of even having a reasoned debate about it.
Yeah.
And who's to say that if he had revealed it and discussed it with the Jedi Council, that he couldn't have said, okay, we're going to play along for now. Just, this is the deal I've made to give us some breathing room. But let's start coming up with a plan use that breathing room to come up with a plan like they eventually come up with to get the Stealth X's off of the planet. Had he done that and they worked together, things would have worked out a lot differently for him, I think.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to see how vehemently the others react to this. And I think it is relatively justified. But it is, again, it's going back to Saba, it's very much being led by Saba. At that point in time as well, which we'll come on to. So Buatu, as we know, is in a coma at the moment, and he was Darla's, one of her chief advisors, wasn't he? And
he was also her lover.
He was, yes. Darla goes and meets with Jagged Fell, who, as we know, head of the Imperials, to show him, to basically blackmail him with footage from the trial that Jaina and Lando end up overseeing as impartial judges around against the Sith. She threatens to release this footage, which shows, in her eyes, that the Jedi and the Sith are working together, which is going to destabilize the claims that the Jedi are making that the Sith are back and all the rest of it. It's starting to get a bit desperate for Darla, isn't it? She's starting to make some interesting choices. Again, she seems to be making them largely in isolation and very reactionary to what is happening. It's not going her way, so escalate. And it's not really giving her a chance to think through the actions of what she's doing. And this does not go well for her.
Nope.
So we have the situation on Bladou Sextus, constantly on the verge of erupting, and little scrapes and clashes happening through, and it's being broadcast across the board. And we have what's the reporter's name?
Marty Vant.
Yeah.
Is pronunciation maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. And she is killed. So she is a member of the press in this. So this is a very key component, as anyone who knows anything about the way war works in the real world, the press are off limits. That's just how it is. You do not attack the press. And through one of these clashes, Marty Vant is killed by Rahl. Is it Rahl?
Yeah, Belloc Rahl. He's the same. And here's where it's kind of stupid on Dala's part, and it's an unforced error. Using first of all, if you're going to use the Mandalorians, that's one thing. It's well known throughout the galaxy that they're the galaxy's mercenaries, and they will fight on behalf of whoever is supplying the credits, essentially, for the most part.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. Use the Mandalorians. Why would you put the same commander that has been so obviously involved and publicly involved in the siege on the Jedi Temple, which Dala orchestrated, why she would send that same commander there to quell an uprising, and that she essentially didn't want to be shown to be connected to as putting down a slave revolt. There was some kind of rerouted payments and shell corporations involved to hire the true identity of who hired them. And they went through all those machinations and sent the very recognizable, because he had taken his helmet off.
This is not the way.
No. And he was the same guy that shot the Jedi, Kent's assistant, on the steps of. So that his image has been broadcast across the entire galaxy. So people know who he is. People know that he has been on Dala's payroll. It doesn't take too much mind power to figure out at least the very real possibility that it's Dala that hired those Mandalorians.
And this action by Darla this action by Belloc Rahl and by proxy Darla, it has a number of different impacts, and just sort of whizzing through them, and then we'll go back and pick out the best bits. This forces the Jedi Council to null and void Hamner's Grand Mastership. So he is only in charge of the Jedi in name only. This then allows the Jedi to set about planning to save the Horns, or the Horn children, from their prison. Go and help Luke and break out of the stalemate with the Mandalorians at the Jedi Temple. And it also results in Jagged Fell saying that as long as Darla is in power, the Imperials will not join the Alliance. And so he needs to now leave Coruscant. And as all good love stories should have,
I was waiting for this.
Jaina and Jag renew their engagement. I think in terms of the time of the books, they're probably broken up for a week.
Yeah.
Not very long.
No.
So the one misstep by Darla has this cascading effect, which, if she hadn't done it, Hamner would have still been in control and none of this other stuff would have happened. Yeah. And she is now facing potentially a full revolt by the Imperials withdrawing and Hamner basically being stuck in a cell and going, yeah, you're the Grand Master, but not really. You're done.
He's essentially, it's like in the military, he's been relieved of his command. So he's still a Jedi Master. He's still a member of the Jedi Order, but he's not calling the shots anymore.
And I think also largely his vote has been quashed for the time being.
Yeah.
So, and it all comes about, as I say, from this one misstep. This one misstep by hiring this one particular group of Mandalorians. And we have this weird little side story around the Solos happening at the same time. And Han keeps popping up in all of these different situations. And it's Han being Han. It is the writers of the books using the Harrison Ford depiction of the original trilogy and just dialing it up to 11 a lot of the time. It's brilliant. I love Han Solo in the books. But he's actually the one who sort of outs a lot of this to the Jedi Council. He's asked to stay in on the conversation, whereas normally he would leave. They come up with this plan that Booster Terek is having a celebrity sabacc tournament on the Errant Venture, which is the Errant Venture a really famous ship, or have I completely misremembered this? I feel like the Errant Venture is really famous.
Yeah, it is.
Is it the Orange Star Destroyer?
Red, but yes.
Red. Close enough. I was in the ballpark.
You were the right. Yeah, you were the right part of the visible light spectrum there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Red Star. It's a Red Star Destroyer. It's a very well known ship, basically because it's probably the only Red Star Destroyer. So it's a very, very recognizable. But it's also well known as a mobile casino.
Yes.
And entertainment mecca. So it's basically outer space Las Vegas, essentially.
And it's interesting that whilst, and we're not going to go into a topic about the sequel trilogy, we are going to do that another time. Throughout reading all of this, I often find when consuming Legends, I'm like, oh, they took this and did this. Oh, they took this and did this. And it's little moments. And it's Canto Bight.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
But just Canto Bight was the Temu version.
Yeah.
Of this.
We've got Errant Venture at home.
Yeah.
Canto Bight is Errant Venture at home.
It absolutely is. And there is a group, obviously including 3PO. Why they ever take 3PO on these missions, I don't know. He is not fast.
No.
And yet he always keeps up. It's a plot point that bugs me no end. But I'm not going on a particular tangent on that one.
Well, at least he has legs and can move, unlike
I actually quite liked it in Empire when he doesn't have legs and he's just strapped to Chewie's back, because he can actually move with the same speed as everyone else at that point in time.
But then again, all he could do is talk. And I love the fact that they finally, well, not your favorite character, but he has a pretty good line about 3PO in The Rise of Skywalker. Is like, oh great, a bazillion languages and now you can't talk.
Yeah. I love that when he's not allowed to translate the Sith.
Yeah.
There are some good moments of Poe.
Uh-huh.
I just think overall he was terribly written, and I blame I can't remember the actor's name.
Oscar Isaac.
I got stuck on Isaac, and I was like, I know that's not his first name.
Oscar. Yeah, he's got two first names. So.
Yeah. But
did you see? Okay, brief tangent. Did you see recently the interview where he discusses somehow Palpatine returned?
No, I would have seen the headline and just gone no, but I don't even think I saw the headline.
You've got to watch it. I know it's tough for you, James, but you've got to watch it because he gives the company line, but
doesn't.
If you're a good interpreter of body language and just voice timbre and the emotion he puts, he was essentially rolling his eyes throughout the entire explanation. So I gained, if anything else, you might gain a little respect for the man there.
The thing is, staying on that tangent, and I will go and find that interview and I will persevere through it.
Uh-huh.
If I get one S-word pass.
S-word pass. Oh.
There we are.
Yeah.
There we are.
Fine. Done.
Excellent.
Say
it's a verbal
say it, and you have to go. I'll say it. Sheev. There you go. Now you have to do it.
I won't. No, I'm not cashing that in now. I haven't watched the video yet.
Oh,
I just get one in the next few recordings that
People
we do together.
Like, what the hell are these two talking about? I mean,
what S-word? Like, there's
S-word?
There's the obvious.
It's Sheev. It's supposed to be Palpatine's first name, but no. James Luceno had it right in the novel Plagueis, where Palpatine just went by his family name alone, and that was it.
Yeah. I just.
But we digress.
I love how much you hate it because it's how I feel about Poe.
Yeah, but mine makes sense.
Oscar Isaac has ruined everything he's ever been in for me. And I'm acutely aware that this is not actually Oscar Isaac's fault, but he is the common denominator.
So are you equating him to be the Morbius in the?
Is it Jared Leto?
Is it Jared Leto or Joaquin Phoenix?
Morbius, the Marvel vampire film that Brian absolutely loves.
Yeah, the one he loves.
Yeah. Okay, that's Jared Leto. Yeah,
that's Jared Leto. Okay, so Jared Leto to Brian Cline is Oscar Isaac to James Ewings.
Yeah. in a nutshell, the TLDR version is that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I am willing to grant you that, but I am looking forward to Jared Leto as Skeletor in the He-Man movie.
Yeah,
was that big over in the UK? Masters of the Universe?
Yeah, it absolutely was. Yeah. I was slightly too young for it. I was much more Turtles and Power Rangers. So that period just after He-Man. But because I had older siblings and friends who had older siblings, I watched an awful lot of He-Man, Thundercats stuff like that throughout the early to mid 90s. So yeah, it was big. It was big here as well. That was a slightly longer tangent than probably either of us anticipated.
So we're back to Master Hamner and the deal he made and the fallout of the Jedi Council finding out that he did that.
The group board the errant venture and basically blackmail Booster Terek to fire on the orbiting satellites around Coruscant as a distraction to lure it's the Sixth Fleets, isn't it, away from the Jedi Temple so that they can launch their Stealth X and go and help Luke.
And is also serving as a distraction for the rescue of Valen and Gisela, who are his grandkids.
Yes. At the same time as all of this is going on, the rescue attempt is about to take place and they are waiting for the signal. Hamner tries to snatch back authority by killing the acting Grandmaster Saba, which obviously ends in a duel. This duel is incredible. As far as book duels go, absolutely incredible. It's so full of description that you can really visualize it, and it's such a good duel that goes on between the two of them, and Hamner is constantly like trying to deflect Saba away so he can stop the hangar doors being opened, which would then release the Stealth X's. Saba is essentially forced to choose between keeping Hamner safe, who has fallen off a ledge. I want to say.
Yeah, he fell off a catwalk.
Yeah.
When his lightsaber kind of cut into the railing.
Yes.
So it did have a safety railing, which is a rarity in Star Wars.
Yes.
But his lightsaber cut through it, unfortunately.
This is the problem. This is why they don't have them. It's like, well, they just cut through them anyway. So Saba is forced to make the choice of save Hamner and keep holding him up and like lower him to the ground, or open the doors to the hangar bay. And she chooses to open the doors to the hangar bay, effectively killing Hamner.
Yeah,
by her hand.
By her hand, yeah, or the decision she made, because the reason she had to make the decision is, and he very knowingly forced that decision by locking on his lightsaber blade and hurling it with the Force towards the mechanism for the door to stop it from opening. And like you just said, he had to make the choice between, okay, do I continue to hold Kenth in the Force and lower him slowly so he doesn't die, or do I reach out with the Force to stop the lightsaber from hitting the door mechanism? I can't do both.
Yeah. And it's a heartbreaking decision, which is detailed fantastically in the book. It's one of the reasons why I love books. You get the inner monologue of stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And stuff that is happening in a split second can be stretched into 3 or 4 different paragraphs sometimes, a couple of pages even, of inner turmoil, and it's all happening in the split second of making this decision. She makes her decision. The Stealth X's go and set course for Pida. And as a result, it's a successful mission. The objective has been completed, and and Saba is elected formally as acting Grandmaster of the Order,
which she reluctantly accepts because
she's killed a fellow master.
She's killed a fellow. She should know how to disable and stop without another long tail. As she she killed another long tail in a dominance fight.
Yeah,
which she should know how to win the dominance fight without killing, because I guess that in the Barabel species, that's how they deal with, who's the alpha essentially.
Yeah,
in the pack. So
absolutely.
At first she doesn't want to take the seat because she doesn't feel that she's worthy, and the rest of the council says we're in a time of war. You're going to be a wartime Grand Master because you are exactly what we need at this point in time. And she finally acquiesces and says, okay, fine, this one will do it, but only until Master Skywalker returns and I submit myself to judgment.
Yes. Which, going back to what we were alluding to earlier, Chamberlain to Churchill. Essentially, you're going from a pacifist who is always going to fail in the face of that adversary to someone who is ready for war. So the rescue mission that is also happening at the same time of all of this is a success, and the Horn siblings return into the custody of the Jedi. Darla obviously goes nuts at this and threatens to just openly attack the temple to get them back. The Jedi stand shoulder to shoulder at this point in time, which I think is probably the first time since Luke's absence is the first time they've really stood shoulder to shoulder. They are all in agreement and say that any action towards us will be met with reprisals against the hostages on the errant venture, which is an interesting little swerve that Darla, I don't think, again, she was just outplayed. She didn't realize any of this was going on.
Yeah. She really underestimated the Jedi. Like, I mean, do I think they actually would have condoned reprisals against the, like, I think reprisals might be too strong a word, but what Darla didn't know is she didn't call their bluff, because at the end of the day, they're Jedi. They're not going to be violent just for violence sake, and they're not going to attack without having been attacked first. But after the actions that Booster Tarek did by, blasting the orbital mirrors and all of that, she really didn't know. And also, it was essentially a human shield that they had on that ship, because her chief of staff, members of the military command, I mean, there was a lot of VIPs in that celebrity sabacc tournament, which, I think Galactic Alliance Inspector General should go and try and figure out how in the hell Wynn Dorvin was able to amass 1 million credits to pay the entry fee there. I mean, that's a little sus.
Yeah. But it's one of those situations, isn't it, where it's like they've obviously said this. It will be met with repercussions for these hostages. Darla, I think she's probably 80% sure that the Jedi wouldn't do that. Off the back of everything you've just said there as well, they've also just killed one of their own.
Right. And
so I think she's like, whoa, they are not messing around.
Well, she doesn't know that yet.
No, she doesn't. No. But he's been removed quite clearly. And I think she's looking at this going, well, Hamna was my only way to keep these guys in check. And he's not stood in front of me at the moment. So he is somewhere. And so she's just going to step back, going to back down, let them feel like they've won. And I'm going to regroup and figure out a way to get the hostages back.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, there isn't, I don't really know what, I think this next bit that I want to talk about which is the Alana bit of the book. I think it's only really there to keep Alana in the book. Because unless something is going to come of this that impacts the next three, which may well be, because it feels like it could be setting something up. So Alana and her pet Nexu are poking around. They find a hidden catacomb deep in the Jedi Temple where 3 Barabel Jedi have made a nest for their spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just that opening couple of sentences feels like a weird tangent that me and you would just have a little conversation about. But no, this is actually part of the book. The Barabels wish to keep their nest secret, and they, for some unknown reason for Jedi, decide that the only option they have is to kill the group that have found them.
You either have to kill them or have to stay with the nest until the baby Barabels hatch.
Yes, which is approximately 2 months. And then Alana, for some reason, decides that obviously she's trying to negotiate her way out of this. Obviously, she's like 8 or something, isn't she?
Uh-huh.
She is young. She reveals her true identity to these guys, including who her mother and father are, and just lays it all out. And it does get them to agree that they're going to keep each other's secrets. I think it's a trust thing of, look, I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm going to give you my secret.
Yeah, because if I give your secret, and you give my secret, I'm just as dead as if I, reveal where the nest is.
Yeah.
So either you kill me or somebody else is going to kill me. So it's like mutually assured destruction.
Yes. So this little jaunt into the depths of the Jedi Temple ends up with them having this compromise, and Alana and her group, which is her Jedi Guardian and her Nexu, leave.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes and joins everyone else, Han, Leia, Corrin, and watching, and Mirax Horn, who is the mum.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Valen and Gisella's mom.
Yeah. She joins them all to go and watch the Horn children be defrosted. It is defrosted, isn't it? I was like, that feels really harsh way to describe it, but no, they do refer to it.
Essentially, it is what it is. They're frozen, so
you got to defrost them. But yeah, and that kind of concludes our Coruscant stuff, with the exception of Tahiri's trial, which I think, in a nutshell, she's obviously on trial for killing Pelion.
Right.
And her defense is, it was wartime and I was following orders.
Mm-hmm.
And
how well did that work out at Nuremberg?
Depends what rabbit hole you want to go down.
Exactly. But anyway, yeah, that's what it boils down to. Is she was following orders, and like you said earlier, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of coverage of the trial in the book, and there wasn't, even within the events of the book, the trial was kind of relegated to a C or a D storyline because of everything else that was going on in the galaxy at the time, with Bladu Sextus, and then the Jedi launching the Stealth X's. Essentially, what press was left in the courtroom left after that.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate in the court of public opinion, because some very important things happened in the trial at that point.
And there was kind of two main things that happened in the trial, which the first one might not seem that important, but I think is possibly going to have slightly bigger repercussions, which is her legal aid, whose name is escaping me at the moment. It's the other Boatu, isn't it?
Yeah, Aramuth,
that's it. So yeah, he seems to be going off the rails mentally a little bit. Just like his age is catching up with him. He's not as sharp as he once was, and he's starting to make mistakes. Probably based on the pressure, and it does absolutely happen to all of us. So Tahiri has an alternative advisor, Sardon, and they are competing, and it gets to a point where it says, basically, you need to pick one of us because this isn't working. And Tahiri decides to fire Sardon and stick with Boatu. A big call, and I think it's possibly, reading it's pretty clearly telegraphed that the reader is meant to think that this is absolutely the right call. Now, I don't know at this point in time whether that's a bluff or it is just that kind of telegraphed. But the big turning point of this trial is the GA's star witness, Lydia Pagorski. She has given an account that she tried to notify or she wasn't aware of the threat to Pelion's life and or something like that. But
she was essentially what it was is she was a security officer on the Bloodfin, which is the Star Destroyer where the murder happened in the previous book series, and essentially she had heard second hand from someone who turned out to be her paramour that Jason Darth Caedus had explicitly ordered Tahiri to not kill Paleon.
Yes.
When in fact that wasn't true, as we all know it, because we read the previous book series, and he absolutely did tell Tahiri, if Paleon doesn't cooperate, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You know.
But this all comes to light, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
It's proven through
lying.
Yeah, through holovid replays and recordings that she is lying, and her account is stricken from the record, and she is arrested for perjury.
Yeah, at Saul Deakins, the prosecutor's direction.
Yes, because he was not aware that she was lying.
Right. So big victory on Tahiri's part.
Yes. that's kind of really it in terms of the trial.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of other stuff happening in this book, so I'm not surprised Alana and Tahiri are kind of booted down the order a little bit. I think that's probably the sensible move. But looking at probably my favorite part of the entire book, with possibly the exception of the duel between Hamner and Saba, is Luke and Ben. Because this is, I've said it time and time again, this side of the Force is just what I absolutely love about Star Wars. I love the mythical side of it.
Yeah.
Where Luke and Ben are is they have fought and think they've killed Abeloth in the last book, which has snapped the hold, which has led to everything else happening on Coruscant by Abeloth on the Jedi. Luke is working with the Sith to find clues about Abeloth's origins, going through her lair, and Vestara and Ben are on the Jade Shadow working together. Do they have the guy on the stretcher?
Instead,
do they have him on the stretcher at this point?
Yes,
they do. So he is on the ship, and they are
tending to his
medical needs. Yes. Vestara tells Ben that ship has contacted her and saying that he is on his way. Now, ship is the Sith meditation sphere. It's been a while since we spoke about ship. They collectively agree, after a bit of back and forth, that they should go and take this information to Luke. But they first, Vestara then says, well, we need to check on Dionstad, who is the guy who needed medical attention that I referred to a minute ago. Ben is overly trusting still at this point of Vestara. She locks him in the medical bay to go and tell the Sith.
Yep.
Ben gets out of the medical bay
relatively
quickly.
Yeah, well, so did she really intend to keep him in there?
She just wanted a head start.
Or was she just trying to get a head start?
She just wanted a head start. She must have known. She's not a silly girl, Vestara. No. She knows that this is Ben's ship.
Yeah.
He's going to know this thing in and out. It's not just his ship. It's his family's ship. So he, being an impetuous teenage boy, doesn't use the Force to manipulate the mechanism. He just shoves his lightsaber into it.
Yeah.
There's probably an analogy there somewhere for teenage boys.
Teenage boys. It's fun. It's funny, James. My mind was same exact spot.
As I was saying it, I was like, been there, Ben.
There's a problem you can't solve. Just stick your lightsaber in it.
Absolutely. See what happens. So he very quickly catches up to Vestara, and doesn't she get like tangled up in some vines or something?
Yeah, what happens is there's it's some, I think they call them like death vines, or it's not like nice vines or something like that. I mean, it's basically vines. Everything on this planet that Abeloth has been on for all these eons. It unless you're Abeloth, it could kill you. Essentially, like there's death.
It's Australia.
Yeah. Essentially, yes, it's Australia. Very, very, very well put. But so what happens is she gets wrapped up in these death vines. There was some pollen that blinded her, so she didn't know. That was it. Yeah, she didn't know that she was hanging over a cliff, and she was getting ready to cut herself out of it, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ben's like, Stara, stop!
Don't do it.
Don't. You're good. And she's like, yeah, sure. So I can't go. Is like, no, dummy, you're hanging, you're hanging over a gorge. If you cut yourself free, you're gonna die.
So yeah, so Ben saves her. He does save her and he frees her. But as a compromise for saving, before he does this, he makes her promise that she's not going to tell the Sith and that they can just tell Luke about ships coming. And she has to agree to this or else she is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So they get pretty close to Luke and the Sith, but are kind of held up and end up, Ben has to tell Luke telepathically, Vistara is taken to one side and we'll say interrogated. We'll add the caveat with vigor by the Sith, but does not crack. She does not tell them. She keeps her promise. They've obviously left Dion alone back on the Jade Shadow. Luke, now with the information that ship is on its way to, in air quotes, save the lost tribe, he knows that what fragile alliance they have between the two of them is gone the second they find this out. So Luke decides to save Vistara, but it's not, he's not doing it to keep her safe, really. It's a happy coincidence that this is what happens. Right. More of a distraction, isn't it? So Ben is able to try and take Abeloth's body as part of this distraction, because this is what Ship wants. Ship's coming to take Abeloth's body so the Lost Tribe can study it all and figure out what she is, where she's from, and how her power works. Luke and Ben want to take it back to Coruscant, to the Jedi Temple, to get it looked at by the Jedi. So we have a very clear divide in how we go about things. A little fight breaks out. Probably a nice way of putting it. Probably underplaying that a little bit. It's quite a cool fight. And Talon nearly kills Ben before Vistara stops him. During the course of the struggle, the sheet which has been covering Abeloth's body falls off. Slightly unbelievable moment here of, did no one check?
Right, exactly.
And it's not Abeloth's body, dun dun dun, but it's Dion Stad's.
Yep.
Now, we're obviously on book 6 of 9. This was not going to be the end of Abeloth.
Right.
But they do kind of telegraph this slightly. It's still cool how it happens, and I still enjoyed it. But they kind of reach the point that they have been duped by Abeloth. And if Dion Stad's here, then who's on the Jade Shadow? It must be Abeloth. It's kind of at that point we sort of step away in terms of the actual telling of the story and the through knowledge, the through part of the book. But when we come back, we're now aware that Abeloth is on the Jade Shadow. Ship is closing in on their location, and somehow the alliance between the two factions is still there. They have to still kill Abeloth. That mission which brought them together is still there. Ship brings them to the pool of knowledge. Is that how that next?
Yeah. Yeah, this all, the fighting and everything, it all happens right around their search for this pool of knowledge. It was Sith essentially, or Ship essentially drops Talon, Gavar, and Luke and Ben and Vistara off right by the grotto where the pool is, and that's where they see these visions within the pool, and it's like at first Ben sees an older, more mature version of himself, and then Vistara walks up next to him, and then she sees an older version of herself, but it's obvious in the visions that they still know each other. So they kind of, it's foreshadowed that they'll meet again at some point, but then they all see this white, like shimmering throne, and on it is a red-haired, button-nosed Jedi that looks really familiar to the Skywalkers.
Yes.
And obviously the Sith don't know who it is, but they do notice Luke's reaction and Ben's reaction when they see who it is. So they pretty quickly figure out that the Skywalkers know who it is. And that's when the fight kind of ensues. And during the fight, or after the fight, I can't remember exactly which, Lord Talon essentially goes for a swim in the pool of knowledge.
It's during the fight, and I'm trying to think back if he does it voluntarily or if he's knocked in.
No, I think he does it voluntarily.
Yeah, I think those around him are kind of being dealt with by Luke and Ben, and he tries to escape but doesn't fully understand what he's doing. There's a lot of that in this book, that people not understanding or thinking through their actions. So the Skywalkers escape because of course they do. And I'm not sad about that. That's not a critique of the book. But it's the Skywalkers. They're going to survive.
Right, exactly.
Again, book 6. And Abeloth's already wandered off with the Jade Shadow. So they have to take the Sith's shuttle. So they basically strand the rest of the Sith on this planet, with the exception of Ship. And that's obviously their way off. They take Vistara with them, using her as a hostage, as they have done throughout this series so far, to kind of keep the Sith at bay. And they want to try and figure out where the Lost Tribes world is, so they can perhaps pass that information on to the Jedi. They basically convince Vistara to come with them willingly, because they point out that they're still alive, therefore her promise to the Sith has so far failed, and she may well be in danger with them because of that.
She's actually kind of, and Luke 100% has seen right through this, but there's a little bit before she rejoins them where Talon and her father kind of tune her up a little bit physically, beat her to make it look like she was beaten, and now she's escaping their custody, running back to the Skywalkers. And obviously Luke sees right through it as an obvious ploy. So she's still there as
double
a
agent
spy. And poor Ben, teenage hormones are raging, and he just cannot see that
was right in front of him.
Yeah, exactly. And based on the way she's written, her description is written, if I'm Ben Skywalker, maybe I don't see it either. I mean, we are human.
I was going to say, I think there is a time where both you and I were teenage boys, and I'm fairly convinced I would not have seen it. I'm just being honest with that. Like I would have I would have ignored everything.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that's not necessarily based on her description. That's just based on a girl.
Basic chemistry, essentially.
Yeah. But yeah, so they end up on Pida, which is obviously mentioned earlier in our conversation about where the Stealth X's are on their way to. So this is what happens on Pida. So there appears to be a plague in situ on this planet. Luke very quickly establishes that this is probably an illusion cast by Abeloth, cast by the Falanasi, who to deter visitors, basically. Now, Luke is like, okay, well, that's fine, but why? Why now? Why are you stopping people coming now? So he uses one of his new skills and immerses himself in the white current to see through the illusions, but decides to keep all of the information to himself at the moment because he doesn't trust Vistara, and he's borderline not trusting Ben, but for the reasons we have very clearly just spoken about.
Because he too once was a teenage boy.
He too once was a teenage boy and met Mara Jade. So I think even when she was trying to kill him, he was a bit like, huh.
Well, she's hot.
She's hot. Well, this is the man who once fancied his own sister. Yeah. George did not think that one through when he was writing A New Hope.
No.
Vistara, he keeps it from Vistara to try and stop her calling her Sith Masters. If she knows it's an illusion, she's going to call them in and be like, look, this is where we are. If there's a genuine risk of a plague, then she might not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Luke goes off on his own. He tells Ben and Vistara to stay on the ship and keep everything locked up tight and keep protected against the plague. He's going to go out on his own and try and figure out what's going on. In reality, he's off to look for Abeloth.
Mm-hmm.
He finds and locates a former acquaintance who, Akana. She basically says, yeah, Abeloth's here. She's brilliant. And she's one of us, and we will protect her. So yeah, she's great. Don't go away. Nothing to see here. Obviously, Ben and Vistara disobey orders because they're teenagers. And they meet up with Luke. The Sith arrive. So Luke bought himself some time, but I don't think he was particularly surprised when Ben and Vistara showed up, and then the Sith in tow as well.
It almost felt as if he was expecting it and counting on it.
Yes. Yeah, because he knows that they need to face Abeloth again. He just needed time to figure out where she was and how to get to her.
And who she was inhabiting. For that matter.
Yes, exactly. High Lord Talon of the Sith, who's as you said earlier, went for a bit of a swim. That little swim has caused him to start transforming. So his force powers are increased, and he's starting to resemble Abeloth.
Yes,
in many ways. Luke agrees to help him to try and sort of reignite the alliance, so they can collectively take down Abeloth. Because I think he knows that's how they're going to do it. They find her. They find Abeloth, who has eventually worked through several bodies and ended up in Akana's because, of course, she has. Let's add some extra tension to this plot point. And the Falanasi are using illusions to protect Abeloth and attack the group, leaving Skywalkers, Talon, and Vistara free of it. So they are the only four who are able to confront Abeloth. Abeloth then decides to spill the beans a little bit. and she promises to tell Talon what his transformation is, and basically just give up some more knowledge. And it's one thing I like about Abeloth. Yes, she can get physical and throw down when needed, but often she's trying to use words to manipulate people into her point of view, and it's something that is very, very, very Maul at the moment in Maul Shadow Lord. Like, I'll throw down when I need to, but if we can do it with words, that's better for everyone. And I really like that approach from a villain. And so, yeah, she tells Talon that I'll tell you everything, but Vistara needs to take out and turn on Luke and Ben. She's too close to them.
Mm-hmm.
So Vistara does. Again, I'm not 100% sure at this point in time which side of the coin she's playing, if she's playing along or she's actually believing her orders and things like that. It's difficult to tell.
I don't think she even knows.
No, I think she's just rolling with it at this point in time. So Vistara and Ben, Jewel, Talon, Luke, and Abeloth all fight. I don't think this is particularly a team up between Talon and Abeloth in this fight, but I also think he wants to know what's going on. So he's stopping Luke going full tilt and focusing on Abeloth. But Luke being Luke ends up killing Abeloth's body in this, but we know, essence transfer kind of a thing in this scenario. She pretty much immediately springs into someone else. And yeah, at the end of it all, Luke and Ben
there was a cool exchange too. It's like she kind of, in this new body, she comes in and Luke looks at her and says, "How many bodies do you have?" And Abeloth said, "More than you can kill."
That sounds like a challenge to Luke.
Yeah. And I thought that was a pretty badass thing to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, you'll never get me.
Right.
Like, you stop trying kind of thing. And that's, again, a very villain thing to say of like, I'm never going to stop. Just leave me alone. But by the end of the fight, Luke and Ben, both wounded, beaten, and about to be taken out by Talon. Vistara then turns on Talon and takes him out.
Yes.
Which,
while he's feeding on, in kind of the way it was written, is very disturbing kind of scene. While he's feeding on the tentacles and getting dark side force essence, basically, he's feeding on making him her pet.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you see a red lightsaber blade appearing through Talon's chest while that's happening, and it was Vistara.
Yeah.
Which, Ben goes, "All right, she's on our side. She killed the master." And it's like, and she said, "No, Ben." She was making him her pet. And as a Sith, I can't allow that to happen.
Mm. She needs to keep the Sith strong.
Right.
Poor Ben. He's so desperate for her to be good. He's so desperate. And I get it. I've been there. So it's at this point where the stories merge into one, and it's right at the end where the Stealth X fleet arrives, battle the Sith forces, who are no longer suffering from the illusionary spell because Luke took out Abeloth's fallen Ussie body. And as you just say, Vistara is not willing to join the light side, but has established that Luke and Ben are really her only hope, because if she goes back to the Sith, they are going to kill her.
She's dead.
She is done.
Yes.
And so she sticks with Luke and Ben and saves them, essentially. But it's saving them, but also saving herself.
Yeah.
So she takes.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely a selfish exercise on her part, because she, like you said, she fully realizes without them, she can't get off of the planet, because there are still other Sith around. The rest of the Sith have arrived, or a bunch of them have arrived, and between where the action happened and the Jade Shadow are a whole string of Sith that are just waking up from this plague illusion. And one of them goes back. They ask, "Hey, where's Lord Talon, and where's your father?" To Vistara, and Luke said, "Oh, they're back there." Like,
say hi when you see him.
Go check it out. And meanwhile, I was like, "All right, guys, let's just get moving.
Run.
So they make it to the ramp on the Jade Shadow, and the Sith that went to check things out said, "She killed him. She killed the High Lord," and blah 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 blah. And they jump on the ship and FO out of there.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the fade to black for this book.
There was one thing about the Coruscant piece that we didn't touch on, and I think it was right at the end of the book where the Jedi Council, well, what remains of them, has decided that Dala has to be removed from
Dala's got to
office. Go. And there's the tie-in to Revenge of the Sith. That
yes,
and we all know how well it worked out for them.
Are you threatening me, Master
for the Jedi in that movie? Will we see a repeat?
Probably not. I don't think Dala's going to be a secret Sith.
No.
There's
okay, fine. There's that. She's not Force sets.
Yeah, I think there will be. So, because we're now doing this this way, and I think we should probably continue focusing on one book at a time going into the finale, because I think there is going to be a lot of things going on.
There is, for sure.
Yeah.
You should not attempt to do 3 at once.
No. So what I would like to do is, at this point, I would like to make some predictions.
Okay.
I appreciate you can't.
Right, I'm gonna mute my microphone right now.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, Todd. I am going to predict that the Jedi on Coruscant, so splitting it into the different sections. Coruscant, I think that the Jedi are going to succeed in removing Dala, but that is going to cause pockets of resistance to the Jedi, because we've had this propaganda against them the whole time that they're mad and they are power hungry and they just want to steal power for themselves. So I have no doubt that there's going to be a few different attempts on various Jedi, possibly including the Solos and Alana, definitely Jaina and Jag. So all of that is going to be very interesting, very messy, and the Jedi are somehow going to have to try and run the galaxy. Alana, don't know where that's going. I think maybe could possibly be somewhere for them to hide. Maybe there is something down there that we know it's built the Jedi Temple was built on an old Sith shrine. So maybe that's where that came from. And I don't know. I feel we're going to build on that story. So predicting it is going to be quite tough. Abeloth, I think we are going to see Luke and Ben take out 2 or 3 more of her forms throughout the next book. Vestara is going to be pulled more and more towards the light, but is going to be really resistant to it throughout. And Ben is still going to be thirsting after her the whole way.
Well, you don't need to be force sensitive to
that one's somewhat
to figure that out.
I needed a gimme.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I have a feeling that that's going to carry over into the next one as well, after that as well.
For sure.
But I think, I think that we're seeing the force powers that Jason learned kind of being used against people to hide Abeloth. So I think, I don't know which ones, but I think 2 or 3 are going to be ticked off. 2 or 3 Abeloths are going to be ticked off rather than 2 or 3 force powers, maybe 2 in 1. But yeah, I think that's my predictions for the next book. The next book is, as we said earlier, Conviction. I'm really excited. I'm in the car a bit tomorrow, so I'm going to start listening to it straight away.
Here's a question for you. And does that title, what does that tell you? Does that put any thoughts?
It's either going to be, so obviously it can have multiple meanings, that word. The obvious thing that's going to jump into mind is Tahiri. The outcome of her trial is going to be not great. Although saying that, we've had so many prison breaks, it's just a minor hiccup. And Darla could be put on trial if she's removed from office. There's a few people that should go on trial, probably. So yeah, possibly Tahiri is going to be possibly have her trial thrown out and Darla put on trial for crimes against the galaxy. Could be interesting, but we will see. We will see. Yeah, at the time of this episode, hopefully coming out, will be about a week away from Mandalorian and Grogu.
Very happy for that. Very, very, very happy for that. A bunch of us are going to Cleveland to meet up with the Rebel Force radio crew.
Nice.
And there's a gathering of there's a showing at a local Cleveland in suburbs of Cleveland theater that a bunch of us are going to. It was Jimmy Mack put out on the Patreon. This is the showing, kind of a loose thing, but so far, and I'm assuming it's mostly Rebel Force radio listeners. So far, we've bought out like 35% of the tickets.
Nice.
It's like a 250 seat theater, so about 70 plus people are in it. And then the next day on Saturday, there is a live recording of Rebel Force Radio episode, and I'll be there for that.
Excellent. I'm going to be ducking spoilers because I am solo parenting that weekend.
I'm sorry, James. I mean, It's great. It's great being a parent and all.
It is what it is.
The wife did that to you on that weekend, huh?
To be fair, it was booked, I think, even before the date was announced that it was when it was coming out. So it's just terrible timing, and just it hasn't lined up at all. So I might have. So she's back on the Monday, and I may be able to find a window on the Monday or the Tuesday. I need to see that film fairly quickly. So, yeah, it needs to happen, and I will make it happen.
Don't worry. Knowing that, I will not spoil it for you in the Spark Jedi Council chat.
It's one of those things of if I get something spoiled for me, I'm not that bothered. I don't mind spoilers. I just go in and just sit there with a big silly grin on my face for however long, 2.5 hours, and just enjoy the ride, because I've never found that knowing spoilers going into something takes away from it. If anything, not knowing almost takes away from it, because I'm trying to look at everything. Whereas if I know something's coming, I can be like just focused on that, and I can enjoy it. And then second watch, I can go and look at all the background stuff and try and figure out what else is going on, what else they're setting up and what not. So it's I don't mind if you put something in there. Cool. I will probably be hunkered down anyway, or busy with my children.
That's it. Busy with your children. There you go.
I am so looking forward to it coming out. And yeah, but Todd, thank you so much. As always, this recording has probably gone longer than we were anticipating again, and it's only one book this time. But where can people find you if they want to hear more of you on the interwebs?
Well, if the aforementioned Rebel Force Radio, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can catch me on several Q&As that have been recorded over time with Jimmy Mack. Also, occasionally you can catch me on So Weird, So Fun podcast. It's our Star Wars Super Friends chat that Brian, fellow Spark Jedi Council member Brian, is a member of, and he's one of the co-hosts on that show. And also, when Haley and Brian give sufficient notice to for a recording and not just a couple days, you can hear me on the Spark Sacred Jedi texts along with Haley Hobbs and yourself.
It's always good fun. Yeah, it was just a bit of a shame that it couldn't quite work out, though. We got something out last time round, but no, I think the next one is, are we doing Annihilation?
You know what? I think so. We'll settle that in the chat.
We'll figure it out, but we will be doing another Star Wars book soon.
Yes.
Titled TBC at this point in time, but it will probably still be Sith focused, because that does seem to be the theme of what we're doing, which is cool. I like the Sith, and yeah, that will be coming to your ear holes soon, I don't doubt. But until then, thank you everyone for listening, and as always, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Always.